2025 Bassmaster Elite Series season is right around the corner. I am in the middle of tackle prep. It is tackle prep season for sure. So we're going to go ahead and run through the whole schedule, tell you which events I'm excited about, give you a little preview on each of the events, tell you what to expect. I'll give you maybe like 2 names to look at for each event. And I'm not going to choose myself, but I'm going to tell you how I think each of these events are going to go. So let's set out first and foremost the number 1 tournament, where we're going to kick the season off, St. John's River. That's right. Now it was 3 years ago when I won the tournament there. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but it was 2022 when that happened. We're going to be going a little bit later. We're going to be going a week to a week and a half later than when I won the tournament there. Let's see. When I won, it was the 10th through the 13th. You can always check the shirt. We're going the 20th through the 23rd. So that's going to be, like I said, about 10 days later. A lot of these fronts are going to be passed. A lot of fish are going to be moving up towards the spawning areas. Should be a lot of fun. Rodman is off limits, so those scopers are not going to be able to go up there and do their scope game. So that'll kind of change things a little bit. It really doesn't matter to me. I like it when we have the full run of the St. John's River and Rodman to fish. Kind of spreads everybody out a little bit more. But what you expect to see some spawning fish, expect to see a lot of good fishing. I think that the cold fronts that we're having right now are going to set up to where it could be really, really good at the St. John's. And you never know exactly how that's going to play out. Outside of myself, I think you got to look at Patrick Walters is somebody who's going to probably do well. He has got a great track record, even though he usually fishes Rodman. Can't go to Rodman this go around, but he's a good fisherman. I just circle that name right there. He's always hungry when he comes off about a three month hiatus for fishing tournaments. One of the other names, I think you want to look at Brian Schmidt. That's right. He is one of my roommates, but he seems to do well on rivers, especially tidal rivers. Right when they're spawning, he can be dangerous. Schmidt will probably do well there. It's my opinion. Next up, the very next week, the end of February, beginning of March, Lake Okeechobee, going out of Okeechobee City. The lake has been high, did not get hurt too bad from those storms. The lake has been dropping. Fishing reports on the internet are that the fishing's been pretty decent, but I think it's on the cusp of really breaking loose. As long as they can get some stable weather down there, as far as not getting a lot of wind, that place could turn ugly, could be really good. Obviously, Scott Martin is from there. He always fishes well there. Won the Open there last year. Completely expect Scott to do well. He's comfortable there. I've fished with Scott probably about 10 days on Okeechobee, about 25 years ago. It's kind of a wild story, but yeah, I was down there doing an internship and living at the marina, the Roland Martin Marianne's Marina. Obviously, Marianne owns that, but she had me in, and I did a little internship work there during that month, and I fished with Scott for like 8 or 10 days, and we got to know each other pretty well. So it was cool. After that, we got the Bassmaster Classic. Bloop. Going over to the Bassmaster Classic, and for the Classic, it's going to be at Fort Worth, Ray Roberts, end of March. It's going to be ugly. There's going to be some massive bags caught. Lee Livesey's my pick. I don't think I need to drop another name in there. I think Lee is going to be tough. Going to be real tough to beat. I don't know why. Just think he is. After that, get back into the Elite Series season. We're going to go back to the far East Coast, and we're going to be fishing another somewhat tidal fishery. We're going to be on the Albemarle Sound, the Pasquotank River. Man, a lot of unknowns about that deal. You can run all the way to the Chewan. You got to run about 30 miles just to get outside of that Pasquotank River. So there's a lot of unknowns there, but we do know one thing. All the fishing that we've seen from there is going to be good. It's going to be very good. I think Ed Loughran's going to do well there. It's going to look comfortable for him. I think he's going to do just fine. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think you're going to have a couple guys like your Drew Cook, maybe Drew Benton, that fish those types of waters that are really going to be able to figure out how to catch those big ones. I think you might want to keep an eye on those two guys, the two Drews. Keep a look at them. Then about a week after that, we'll go to, at the end of April, we're going to be going to Lake Hartwell. Love Lake Hartwell. Again, Patrick Walters kind of spot. He's always good on those herring lakes. Murray, obviously, and that. But I think you might start to see a few scopers coming around. You know, your Foutses, your Shakurates. You know, some of those guys are going to start to play a little bit, but that herring game's going to be going strong. I'm looking forward to it. One other name to think about on Hartwell, who knows it well, has fished it well in the past, Cliff Pace. Cliff Pace is back in the Elite Series. Keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on Cliff for that Hartwell tournament. And then we got about a week, and then we go down to Texas. Now we're going to be going down to Lake Fork and the Sabine back-to-back. Lake Fork, amazing fishery. It's amazing how that place just gets the absolute crap beat out of it, and then we still catch them. Everybody catches them. They have that slot limit there, so they don't have a lot of harvesting going on there, except for the big ones. But the replica deal is going on now, so nobody even really needs to do that anymore. But Lake Fork, very cool place. I like it. I've had a top 10 there in years past. But the last couple times there, I've taken it on the chin. But there's going to be a lot going on with that beginning of May. There's going to be some shad spawning going on. There should be some bluegill spawn going on. There should be some bass left on bed. There'll be a few left on bed. I think that was about the same time that maybe it was the end of April when Brandon Cobb hit that 11-pounder and almost pulled his skinny body right into the water. So that was around that time period. There should be a few left on the beds, but I don't see that as being a big player. I think a lot of those feeding fish, there should be some fish that are going to be transitioning out. So some of your deeper guys might be doing well. You know, Lee used to guide there, so he's got a lot of experience. I think that's more of a Zaldane time of year. I think Chris has a chance to do well if he doesn't fish too much history. But he's definitely good when it's big bait, big fish time of year. So Lee, Zaldane, and I think that I'm not going to be stupid about it this year. And I think I'll do well. I think I like it. I tried to be too cute with it a couple of the other tournaments. Stay in one smaller area and really dissect it because there's good fishing all over the lake, and it didn't work. Didn't work for me. So I need to change it up. The Sabine River, I like my track record there, so I always have the Sabine River circled, and I've got some new water circled. Every time I go to a fishery that we've been to before, I always try to go to new water. I've got a couple areas already circled in my brain as far as new water to check out and see what I can find. But again, that's one of those places that it's a tidal type fishery, kind of a tougher fishery. You never know. Some of the guys kind of surprise you, but the flippers I think will do well. Brock Mosley obviously won last time we were there. Brock's probably going to do well again. He does well on those types of fisheries. I think the Drew Benton, Drew Cook situation could come into play. Matt Robertson did well there last time we were there. And that's one of those places that the Japanese anglers tend to do well. There's a handful of known areas that are good. The Japanese anglers tend to go there and figure out how to catch them. I would expect to see one or two Japanese anglers in there. Maybe Taku, be my guess. He's done well there before. And then June 12th through 15th, we go to Lake Tenkiller in Oklahoma. We went there once before. That's where Carl Jacobson won. Carl can have a top 10 in any of these events. Like a lot of guys out there. Any event. Hard to duplicate your history. Totally different time of year. We're going to see, we don't know what that lake fluctuates in water level, so we don't know if it could be flooded in the bushes, which would mean one thing, more for the flippers, the Matt Herons, the Bill Lowens. But if the water's down in more of a normal level, I think you're going to see some offshore stuff. I think you're going to see some scopers doing well and catching some. I think you're going to see some versatile guys like your Scott Canterbury, mixing it up, fishing a jig around here and there. I think you're going to see some guys doing some different stuff at Tenkiller. That's going to be a really exciting event to watch. in my opinion, for the fans. So 10 killer should be a lot of fun. After the 10 killer, got a little bit of a break. July, we got ICAST and some other stuff. People take their vacations, do whatever. We got 2 more events in August. One's at the beginning, one's at the end. Beginning of August, we've got Lake St. Clair. It is going to be scoping for everybody. You can catch fish. You can have a decent bag. Like in the Open last year, Ish Monroe had like 23 something the first day, not scoping, fishing shallow, but he could not follow that up. That is the problem with that. We have a 4-day event. If you want to even make day 3, you probably have to involve doing the live scope deal out in the middle. That lake is unique in the fact that almost any acre of the lake that you go to, and we're talking a lake that's, I don't know, it's 20 miles by 20 miles wide. That whole lake, you could set down anywhere in that whole deal and see fish. Because outside of the shipping channel, none of the lake is too deep. There's sand grass on almost the entire, some kind of grass or sand grass, something on almost the entire bottom. So those fish have that 20 by 20 mile area to roam. And wherever the bait fish are, that's typically where a little bit bigger population of the fish are. But I'm telling you, you can catch fish almost anywhere on that lake, and it is wild. I think that is one of the most fun lakes to fish. I love fishing St. Clair. I'm glad it's fishing good, and you don't have to run to Erie or some stupid thing. You can definitely go in the St. Clair River, catch plenty of fish. But Jay Shakurit has got something figured out there. I mean, I watched him on live last year at the Open, and I can't figure out what he's doing different that absolutely trucks him, but he's got it figured out, and would expect to see him in the top 10. That's an Easton Fothergill kind of a tournament as well. Very good scoper. Does well. He's from up north, so he does well on the northern fisheries for sure. So those are a couple names for you to circle on your fantasy. Last but not least, La Crosse, Wisconsin, Mississippi River. I've had some good events there. I've had some bad events there. That place is one that I really like. It fishes like a delta, almost like a tidal fishery, but if the water's dropping, it's like outgoing tide all day. If the water's coming up, it's like incoming water all day. There's no high tide, there's no low tide. It'll just keep coming up or it's keep coming down. It's going to be doing one or the other. Every once in a while, it'll be stable. Stable is really good. Fishing's good when it's stable. Fishing could be good when it's coming up or going down, but they get on different kind of stuff. After fishing this place a bunch of times, I'm starting to click, starting to get around it. But I can tell you right now, Brian Schmidt, you throw him in the top 10. You can throw Chris or Corey Johnston in the top 10 of every one of these tournaments I just listed. Every one of them. They could be both or one or both of them could be in every single top 10 this year. Those guys have been on a tear the last few years. I would expect Chris, because Chris and Schmidt, they were the ones duking it out last time we were there, and Schmidt came out on top. Chris is a very, very good angler, and he does well on those types of fisheries. It's just a matter of finding those little bit better grade of fish and putting them in the boat. So I've got my strategy, my thoughts on it. Just going to wait and see what the water level is come the end of August, and we're going to try to close out this year with a very, very positive tournament and a whole year of positive. I'm excited about it. Got the Basscat STS behind me. Got it all rigged up. We went gray this year. I love the wrap. It came out really nice. Of course, Mercury 250, Pro XS, power poles, power pole move. Went with the big MBT on the front. Got that connected to the Garmin. We'll give you the whole boat rundown later, but I'm really happy with the rig so far. Been out on it a few times. I need to spend a little more time on it before the season kicks off, and I got her all dialed in, but there she is, my beauty, looking forward to it. So anybody has any predictions on any of the lakes on this 2025 Bassmaster Elite Series schedule, drop it down there. I want to hear what you have to say. If you think I'm going to do well, or if you think I'm going to stink, you'd be like, John, you're going to stink it up at Hartwell. Say that. I want to hear it because I want to prove you wrong. We're going to go out there and have a good time this year. It's going to be good. Going to try to catch them, smash them up. And if I missed anybody that you think is going to do well in any of these events, drop it down there again. But there we go. Start it off. Try to get another one of these right there. Boom, Bassmaster.